What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another Four Corners video for today's 10-game MLB main slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com. We all had the weekend to rest and recharge, but now it's time to get back on the grind here on this Monday, and that means one thing more than anything. Not your full-time job. It means it's time to enter our double dong picks to win a free month of Awesemo Plus. All you have to do right now is like this video and comment your double dong pick down below. The guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today. If you're correct, you'll be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus. We also have a winner from Friday's video, who I'll announce a little bit later on. For now, let's get on to the top pitchers on today's slate. And James Paxton going against Tampa Bay should be the top owned option everywhere. Gets 3.8 implied runs against him, which are slate low. He'll be number 1 owned on DraftKings with 34%. He'll have 24% on FanDuel and 37% on Yahoo. Paxton's strikeout ability has been there with a 29% K rate and a 14% swing strike rate, but his 9.3 hits per nine allowed offers some risk on a hot day at the Yankees Park versus the Tampa Bay projected lineup was a 115 WRC+. Today is a slate where there isn't a big difference between the top projected pitchers, so I don't mind Paxton here. I do think you can go to some other guys at far less ownership who have very similar potential for scoring points today. Joe Musgrove at St. Louis should be popular on DraftKings today with 4.7 implied runs against him. Musgrove will be the number 1 owned guy on DK with 30%, while he'll have much less ownership everywhere else. Musgrove's price is hard to ignore given his low 1.2 whip and how mediocre St. Louis has been with a 148 ISO versus right-hand pitching, but he gives up runs it can be hard for him to dig out with just 20% K rate on the year. Musgrove struggles more versus lefties, and St. Louis doesn't have a lot of guys who are going to punish him too much there. I don't mind Musgrove because of that low price, but if he's going to be a very chalky play on DraftKings, I think it's natural to want to go under the field on him. And Jacob Junis versus the White Sox should also be popular everywhere today with 4.4 implied runs against him. Junis will be the number 2 owned pitcher on FanDuel at 24% and on FanDuel with 37%, while he'll be number 3 on DraftKings with 24%. Junis has theoretical upside given the White Sox 152 ISO with an overall 25.5% K rate versus right-hand pitching, but a high owned Junis who allows 41.6% hard contact and a 1.5 whip is scary chalk. It's not a bad spot at all for Junis, but I do think with his ownership that high, much like Paxton, there are guys who project similarly in his range that could be worth pivoting to just to differentiate from an ownership standpoint. On to our next corner, the top stacks on the slate, and a Colorado stack going against Derek Rodriguez should be a popular one today. Due to a doubleheader, there's no Vegas total for this one yet, but it should come in high here, with Rodriguez allowing 46% hard contact and also unable to strike guys out, with just an 8% swing strike rate, so he is a compelling pitcher to target at Coors. Colorado projects for sky-high ownership, but still has a better chance of being the top stack on the slate according to our top stacks tool at Awesemo.com, with Rodriguez equally bad versus both sides of the plate and offering little use besides a low fly ball rate of 32.1%. Rodriguez is another pitcher who's helped out quite a bit by pitching regularly at San Francisco. Now that he's in Coors, there's potential for him to give up high production here, even if he isn't showing a lot in terms of fly ball rate and home run rate on the year. A Dodger stack versus Zach Eflin should also find some ownership today with 5.3 implied runs for them. Eflin's lefty struggles with a 1.5 whip and 4.6% on run rate to that side of the plate can be big problems in a solid power park on a hot day versus a Dodgers team who has a lot of lefties who can smack the ball around. The Dodgers are very reasonably priced despite an extremely strong spot with every hitter in the lineup besides Austin Barnes over a 105 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. The Dodgers lefties are some of the best in Major League Baseball, whereas Eflin is really bad versus lefty hitters. It's a really nice combination here to go to the Dodgers as long as they don't get too chalky throughout the day. And a Boston stack versus Trent Thornton should also find some ownership today with 6.1 implied runs for them. Thornton isn't a terrible pitcher, but his 1.5 whip can be big trouble versus Boston's lineup, who has a 285 batting average and a 122 WRC plus. The ownership for Boston so far is largely pushing towards Mookie Betts and JD Martinez, but a full stack looks appealing given how Boston's lineup only has 1 hitter above league average in strikeout rate, plus a 203 ISO overall. Thornton's been beaten up by a Boston stack within the last few weeks. I think it's another spot to go to them today, even though they're not going to be very highly owned outside of JD Martinez and Mookie Betts. On to our next corner, the lower owned options on today's slate, and Lucas Giolito going against Kansas City is one who intrigues me. Giolito gets 4.1 implied runs against him, and it's not a great park or price for Giolito, but his 1.1 whip, 30.1% K rate, and 14.6% swing strike rate all look solid. The other high-priced guys fail on this slate. Giolito has stayed lights out in 2019, while Kansas City's 165 ISO and 90 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching don't offer a ton of concern, even though their strikeout rate is just under league average overall. Giolito's had nasty stuff, but doesn't project for much ownership. I like the spot for him today because he's not going to have anybody on him, whereas a guy like Paxton does have some downsides, and he has a lot more people expected to be on him. A Cleveland stack versus Daniel Norris also looks under-owned despite the 6.3 implied runs for them, which are a slate high. Norris has been okay at limiting damage overall despite a bad 10.5 hits per nine allowed and 18% K rate, but Cleveland is under-owned given their top team total. If Cleveland's ownership rises, they may be less interesting given their volatility, but at current ownership levels with guys like Francisco Lindor, Carlos Santana, Jordan Luplow, and Roberto Perez all over a 133 WRC plus versus left-hand pitching, this could be a high upside stack without a lot of people on them. Some stacks have had hard times versus Daniel Norris, but if this stack for Cleveland is going to be under-owned, I think targeting that Vegas total and hoping that the stack blows up could be a nice situation here in a hot day in a a positive hitting park. Rick Porcello versus Toronto also jumped out to me a bit with a 4.4 implied run total against him. Porcello was still mostly garbage with a 1.4 whip and an 18.3% K rate, but versus Toronto's 24.7% K rate and 224 batting average versus left-hand pitching, he's got to be a little bit interesting here at a low price. Porcello is significantly priced down, but he's shown upside of 35 plus fantasy points on the year when matchups infrequently break his way. Porcello's not a guy I trust a lot, but if people are going to be really on Jacob Junis today, if you pivot to Porcello and then stack against Junis, you could find yourself in a tournament-winning lineup without a lot of effort involved. And a Detroit stack versus Adam Plutko interests me a little bit with a 4.3 implied run total for them. Detroit is unequivocally bad versus right-hand pitching with a 75 WRC plus and a 230 batting average, but Plutko may somehow actually be worse. Plutko's 1.2 whip is strong, but he allows a 6.7% home run rate and a 44.4% fly ball rate that could yield production at a positive power park on a hot day. Detroit is certainly not a team I love, but I think the fact they're going to have no ownership today going against a guy in Plutko who gives up a lot of production to both individual players and full stacks mean that Detroit may have some use today as value. On to our last corner of the one-offs, and Jordan Luplow going against Daniel Norris is a guy who jumped out to me. Norris allows 10.8 hits per nine and a 5.3% home run rate to lefties, while Luplow brings a 328 ISO and a 155 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching at a cheap price on a hot Cleveland day. Anyone who's watched Live Before Lock knows that I'm a little bit predisposed to the ginger assassin Jordan Luplow. I like the spot for him though because Norris is bad versus lefties, and Luplow has shown a really good job taking advantage of weak righty pitching. Mookie Betts versus Trent Thornton should also be a popular option that I also like as a one-off today. Betts in the leadoff spot with a high team total should be a popular play, but also one who looks like a solid value with a 320 batting average and a 161 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. Boston is starting to round the form here, and Thornton is not a guy I'm intimidated by, even though he's not a terrible pitcher. I think going to Betts as a one-off could be a pivot away from a full Boston stack. And Charlie Blackmon versus Derek Rodriguez would probably be the Coors guy I like the most as a one-off. No Colorado hitter projects poorly given Rodriguez's iffy ability, but Blackmon benefits with Rodriguez's slightly worse 4.6 xFIP to lefties, while Blackmon is also bringing a Colorado best 133 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. With how high-priced Colorado is, it may make sense to try to get some one-offs instead of going to the full stack. If you are going to take that approach, I think Charlie Blackmon is going to be one of the stronger options you could find in that Rockies lineup. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on today's slate. So if you want to get into the mix for that free month of Osmo Plus right now, like this video, comment your double dong pick down below. On Friday, we had a couple guys hitting double dongs, but only one of them was guessed correctly in the comments, and that was Jordan Alvarez. And these three people right here guessed Jordan correctly. We got Andy Sunnycobb, Ms. and Nico McCoy, and Pa Bippin. All you guys guessed it correctly, so great job. Unfortunately, only one of you can win the free month, so I ran it through our random Excel generator, and the winner is Ms. and Nico McCoy. So email me at chris@osmo.com to collect your free month of Osmo Plus. Good job picking, and congratulations on that free month to Ms. and Nico McCoy. And if you want to join Ms. and Nico McCoy at the prize window, all you have to do is like this video and comment your double dong pick down below for your chance to win that free month of Osmo Plus. But if you don't want to wait for the dong gods to shine upon you with the rays of power sunlight, all you have to do is use this promo code Switch and Hedge for half off your first month of any Osmo Plus package. Get all the ownership projections, the regular projections, the plug right into the Fantasy Cruncher, the top stacks tool, the lineup builder, the deep dive column, a million different things that'll help you make better MLB DFS lineups every day. So use that promo code Switch and Hedge right now for half off your first month of Osmo Plus. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags and posting all sorts of stuff on my Instagram story. Also posted things like my personal podcast on my Twitter. Check it out right now, especially if you're a wrestling fan. Check out the pinned tweet on at Chris Spags on Twitter. But either way, I'm here for you guys every day, so let's get the community moving onto other platforms. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'll be on DK Live's The Sweat later today if you want to check me out on a different show, but also watch our Live Before Lock show, of course, at the same time. And obviously, I will be back with you guys tomorrow for another Four Corners video. So enjoy your day and good luck.